Decent amount of these so far, and honestly, I feel like we're getting better at them. Y'all know I drafted over 700 teams on Underdog this last offseason. Hell, the reason we can do it is it's best ball. There's no time commitment at all during the year. This is only a $3 buy-in, so of course, super low stakes, mainly just having some fun, mainly just preparing for the Dynasty offseason and really trying to think about what these situations are going to be looking like for 2023. So I'm excited to dive into this, but of course, before we do, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If you want to get into a draft with us, if you want to check out any of these player props this week, they have them every week. Of course, you can go down to the link in the live chat, the link in the description, the link in the comment section. Sign up for Underdog, and they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. And like I said, we did over 700 of these last offseason. I have so much fun doing these. I doubt that we're going to stop anytime soon. So I want you in here with us, and let's get this going. This draft already filled. We're going to be picking at 4 here. Honestly, I don't know if we've picked at 4 so far over the past 2 weeks doing these drafts. I mean, looking at the draft board, because this is Underdog, where you have to start 3 wide receivers every week, and it's best ball, and we know these wide receivers are going to get pushed up. I feel like we honestly kind of have to go ahead and we have to grab Tyreek Hill here. Kind of thought Tyreek Hill was older than he actually is. Tyreek Hill is only sitting at, I believe, like 28 years old. I mean, next year, obviously, Tua Tagovailoa is still pretty damn young in his own right. So I think you don't have to worry too much about Tyreek being on the decline next season. It's difficult to just guarantee you're going to get him to repeat. I think Kupp may end up being the pick as we get closer to the offseason, as we get actually to July, August, and we're really hammering in these drafts. If I was a betting man, I would say Cooper Kupp probably ends up going ahead of Tyreek Hill. I'm just a little more uncertain with the situation that we are going to have for the Los Angeles Rams than we have with the Miami Dolphins. Just a little more uncertain, but Cooper Kupp should be 100% healthy going into next season. And on top of this, we obviously know he has a higher floor ceiling combination than almost anybody else in fantasy football when he is healthy. We don't know if Kupp's going to have Stafford for sure. We can assume that Stafford will be there, but it is not going to be a guarantee. But now going through, and let me give a shout out to a couple of people in the chat. We got Joseph, James, Mike, me, Blank, Travis, Rental Turtle, love the name, Sebastian, Michael, Scorp, YNG, Broden, Patrick, Richard. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. I truly do appreciate y'all. Gonna be happy to get this draft going. Hopefully, we have a decent amount of y'all out here, but we have a donation question coming in. Thank you. Laker Niner says, take a chance with Driscoll at tight end again, or are we gonna pick up CJ Uzama, Tyler Higbee, Robert Tonyan, or Brock Wright with Juwan Johnson, the rookie tight end in Tennessee, Hayden Hurst already rostered on all of their teams? With Jeff Driscoll, to be honest with you, I have no idea what the role is going to be. Like, I legitimately do not know. I can sit here and try to speculate on what we are going to have. If it's a non-PPR format, obviously you're going to give him a bump up a bit because you're not really relying on him compared to someone like Tyler Higbee for Jeff Driscoll's usage as a pass catcher. You're more so knowing, okay, well, he's going to provide us some rushing upside, possibly scores a touchdown. If it is a PPR league, however, we are going to end up going Tyler Higbee. Even if the Rams offense is garbage, even if Baker Mayfield is not good, it's still difficult to go with Driscoll when I'm so uncertain about what the role is going to be in that PPR league, where we do know for a damn fact that Higbee is going to be drawing targets, just given the fact that he is the pretty much only guy left for the Los Angeles Rams here. Okay, but Jacob's going to pick 19. What are we going to do? See what Noah does. Noah decides to go Breece Hall. So do we just take Jalen Hurts? Who could we go with in the 4th round? 4th round, we're going to be looking at, I don't even know if Justin Herbert will make it back. We're going to be looking at like Tua. Whereas the running backs and receivers may be comparable. So let's go ahead. Let's take Jalen Hurts. Obviously, we don't have a stack at A.J. Brown, but I mean, the man has a ton of rushing upside. And AJ says that we're going to go Donovan Peoples-Jones or DeAndre Swift in the flex spot. I mean, based on how disappointing Deshaun Watson's been, and this is coming from someone who drafted Deshaun Watson in a lot of best ball leagues, I thought that all those Deshaun Watson teams we snuck into the best ball tournaments, I thought we were going to be getting elite level production from Watson, and we were so clearly wrong. I think we have to go DeAndre Swift. With DeAndre Swift, he plays the most snaps for the Detroit Lions. He operates as their running back one this past week. Now, the primary issue, of course, is the fact that you're looking at DeAndre Swift that's now in a 3-man running back by committee with Justin Jackson getting involved as well. I mean, a 2-man running back by committee with Jamal Williams is kind of whatever if DeAndre Swift's getting more than Jamal, but as soon as you enter in the third RB, it does get very nasty. Kind of is what it is. Let's go ahead and let's play DeAndre Swift. I think his offense is going to be significantly better, and I like the matchup against Carolina. Okay. So Derrick Henry going at 27. I was sitting here thinking about this, if Derrick Henry would have gone or not. Honestly, I think we were going to be looking at Travis Etienne almost regardless here. Obviously, Etienne's not as good as Derrick Henry this year. It is what it is. But with Travis Etienne, the man's really in his first season playing. Derrick Henry's going to turn 29 next month. With Derrick Henry, I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, okay, he's a horrible pick in the third round, but I think we had a lot of people in the previous drafts screaming how Derrick Henry was the best value in the world when he was going in the third. We actually took him in the third round in another draft here. But these running backs that are approaching age 29, 30, I do get worried. And Dr. Ryan Cecil, happy to have you out. Says, with Lockett injured, would you stream Godwin or Jahan Dotson for the semifinal this week? Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is Marquise Goodwin. Goodwin has a good matchup going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Quick side note, Hook'em Lawrence. Of course, you're going to be rooting for our guy. I am going to go Jahan Dotson, however. I am significantly more confident with Jahan Dotson's talent profile. If you look at Goodwin, I mean, the main issue is going to end up being the fact that he doesn't profile to be a wide receiver getting a lot of targets. Goodwin's a wide receiver that instead is going to be a field stretching option. I mean, he was an extremely fast player at Texas. I mean, literally was an Olympian. Let me go ahead and let me pull up his game log, and just to illustrate this point further, obviously, you have no Lockett, so you assume he has more run. You'd assume that he has a larger role. The man this year has had one game with 6 or more targets. Last season, he had one game with 6 or more targets. The season before that, 0 games with 6 or more targets. The season before that, 1 game with 6 or more targets. So if we're going back to 2018, looking at the last 4 years, he's had 3 games with 6 or more targets. He's a speedster wide receiver that is 32 years old. Even if you like the matchup, even if you like the role with no Tyler Lockett against Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to take the first round rookie that just looked very good in prime time. That is that ascending talent. I'm going to go Jahan Dotson over Goodwin, even if Goodwin's in a better situation. Now, Thomas says, do you think we go Danny Dimes, Deshaun Watson, Jared Goff, or Brock Purdy? I think it's really going to be down between Danny Dimes or Jared Goff, if we're going to be honest here. I mean, Danny Dimes will probably be my answer if it's a 4-point passing touchdown format, because in that 4-point passing touchdown league, we know Daniel Jones has some rushing upside. On top of that, with Daniel Jones, more importantly, he has the best matchup you can ask for going up against the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have been allowing about 30 points per game over the past 5 weeks. It has been laughably bad. I don't love Daniel Jones just because his weapons surrounding him are so damn bad. But if we're looking for a fantasy football options, hard to go against the quarterback that's going to pick up some points on the ground and has that matchup against the Vikings. Jose coming out, thank you, my friend, says 1 running back, 1 receiver, and a flex. We have Walker, Zeke, Connor, Williams, as well as Watson. I'm assuming this is a Mike Williams and Christian Watson. I think our running back's going to end up being Kenneth Walker. I think our flex is going to end up being James Conner. I know Conner, very bad offense, very bad matchup, but the man gets 95% of the snaps, 95% of the touches out of his backfield, including work as a pass catcher. So honestly, it's difficult to get away from that usage. I think you have to kind of go ahead. You have to just take James Conner here. And then if we're going to be looking at Zeke, Mike Williams, or Christian Watson if we're going to be looking at Mike Williams or Christian Watson for the wide receiver spot, I'm going to go Mike Williams. I think he's just in a better offense, if we're going to be honest. Like, give me Mike. Okay. Amari Cooper going off the board here, pick 43. I actually have two names that we're really looking at. Let's see if we get them. Okay, so Noah decides to take Justin Herbert. So we're going to go Lamar Jackson. Now, of course, everybody, please, let me stress this. This is a best ball league, okay? Your highest automatic starting lineup gets submitted for you at the end of every single week. We are going to have to draft multiple quarterbacks here regardless. I'm not justifying that this is the best pick in the world. I'm not trying to say that. If you're playing in obviously a regular fantasy football league that's not on Underdog, you would never take another quarterback after you take Jalen Hurts there at pick 21. Kind of like the idea of having two elite rushing quarterbacks, possibly getting 30 points each and every week with these guys randomly popping off. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Lamar, not draft a quarterback the rest of the time. And hopefully some of these names do get pushed up the draft board. But we'll see. It's a $3 draft. We are mainly just trying some things out as we need to get comfortable with the draft board for this offseason. And I mean, hell, we had some very good results this past year. So I'm very confident in being willing to roll the dice in a $3 draft. So those $500 drafts, $1,000 drafts we're doing closer to the season, we have everything in line. But Deshaun Watson go at pick 49. Very interesting to see Watson go this early, with Watson being pretty damn bad as of late. And we also have Tua Tagovailoa going at 50. Good for us, obviously. I mean, we're no longer looking at quarterbacks. Hopefully we get Trevor Lawrence off soon. But instead you get Dameon Pierce. So if we're going to be looking at wide receiver, honestly, hell, do we just go Mike Williams? Keenan Allen is going to be an extremely old option next season. Keenan Allen drafted in 2013. Mike Williams just signed that contract extension. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Mike Williams continues to expand his role. This past season, I was actually drafting Keenan Allen ahead of Mike Williams. But, I mean, I think that at some point we have to assume that they flip given their age. Mike Williams, not necessarily a spring chicken either. He is 28 years old. But, I mean, if we're going to be comparing this to Keenan Allen's going to be 31 in a couple months. So, I mean, 28, 31 is a pretty big difference. You're obviously attaching an elite level quarterback with Herbert here. Richard says, what would you give up to trade the 104 to the 101 in 2023? So the 104, if it's going to be a super flex league, obviously you're looking at someone like CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. We don't necessarily know who that pick's going to be until we have those landing spots, until we have significantly more data with the NFL Combine, etc. At this point, I'm very hesitant to go out there and just string together multiple draft picks to move up in the draft, even if you know I want to go grab my guy in Bijan Robinson. I would say we'd give up a second and a third, but I know that's not going to be enough. I know that's not going to be enough, so in reality, we're probably just sitting on our hands. Okay, so after we take Mike Williams, you have Michael Pittman, London going at wide receiver. You have Kyle Pitts at 53, Trevor Lawrence 54. So hopefully we get some more of these quarterbacks going off the board. Obviously, that would be good for us. James says, are we going to go A.J. Dillon over Joe Mixon? We can't afford a bust. Thank you. No, thank you, my friend. And obviously, Joe Mixon has not been good. Joe Mixon, since coming back from his injury, has split the backfield with Samaje Perine. I don't know if this changes anytime soon. But even with him being a running back in a committee, in a tough matchup going up against the New England Patriots, hell, A.J. Dillon is a running back in a committee as well. The difference, however, is A.J. Dillon is a running back that is the smaller part of his running back by committee. Mixon seeing about 65, 70% of the snaps, where A.J. Dillon is instead seeing less than 50%. So I think we are going to go ahead. We are going to roll with Joe Mixon. I don't think we think too much about it. I know it's a tough matchup, but come on, it is what it is. I don't think we pivot over to A.J. Dillon just because you had a strong performance this past week. And now Ashton coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, in a Dynasty 12-team Superflex league, guy looking to trade the 101. He wants Amon-Ra St. Brown. Would you give him Najee the 109 for the 101? If not, would you package Amon-Ra with something? I would trade St. Brown for the 101 in a heartbeat. Of course, the question is, what would we add to him? But yes, I would 100% value the 101, regardless of if it's a one quarterback league or a super flex league, over Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would trade Najee Harris in the 109 for the 101 as well. I would make either deal. Like with Najee Harris, obviously profiles to be a 3-down guy, still on his rookie contract. But I mean, I don't think he has a similar ceiling to Bijan Robinson. I don't know if the 109's making a difference. So yeah, I mean, he's selling the 101 at a discount. I'm fine going ahead and buying him. Now, Lane Dog coming out says, Mace Dog, sorry, been a busy year, but I know you got me when I need you. Hurts was my guy. My options, knowing I have Barkley, Swift, Williams, are Daniel Jones, Goff, or Gardner Minshew. What does the dog do? Thank you so much, my man, for coming out. Hope you had a phenomenal season. And I'm assuming you did if you had Jalen Hurts and made it to the playoffs, but now it's falling apart. I would say that we're probably going to go ahead. We are going to be playing Daniel Jones. I have Daniel Jones, Jared Goff ranked back-to-back this week in our rankings. So, I mean, I think we can sit here and kind of go back and forth between these names. The main thing that I'm going to do the tiebreaker with, not only the matchup, obviously, for Daniel Jones going up against the Minnesota Vikings, but also if it is that 4-point passing touchdown format, the rushing upside of Daniel Jones is going to matter a decent amount here. So, I think we go ahead, we take Daniel Jones. My friend, the Minnesota Vikings, we said this earlier in the live stream, but they've been getting up like 30 points a game over the past 5 weeks. I think you have to play him. And we're going to take Dallas Goedert here at pick 69. We probably need a wide receiver, but I mean, I think it's fair value. I don't like drafting tight ends in the middle rounds. Y'all know we've been waiting to the last 3 rounds to take our guys as of late, but we had Jalen Hurts in this second. So Dallas Goedert falls beyond his ADP, and we took Hurts earlier on. I'll be fine with it. Rob says, do you think Deion Jackson becomes the guy over Zach Moss? I think Deion Jackson maybe is the viable play in a full PPR format over Zach Moss, but if you think they split the backfield 50-50, I would make an argument that it doesn't matter, that you shouldn't really be excited about either player, if we're going to be honest. Like, if you think they split the backfield 50-50, I'm telling you, don't be starting Deion Jackson. Like, obviously, this offense is just so damn bad. That'd be very difficult to be excited about either guy. If I had to make a bet, full PPR, maybe you go Deion Jackson as he has demonstrated the ability to catch the ball. Non-PPR, we go Zach Moss. Hell, Zach Moss played significantly more snaps and had significantly more touches this past week. Now, our next question coming out from Low Rise says, quarterback for week 16, Dak against Philadelphia, Tua in a cold stretch, or Jared Goff. We also have Schultz, Waddle for the stacks, and my opponent's playing Hurts, Brown, and Eagles DST stack. Got news for you, my friend. Your opponent may not be playing Jalen Hurts. I think we're going to end up going ahead and playing Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not going to overthink this whatsoever. I mean, let's go through and let's put some context to the recent Tua performances, right? Because, yeah, I mean, we can sit here and say, oh, he's been bad. He's been in a cold stretch, but how bad has he been? And what defenses has he been playing against? So Tua this past week had 2 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, not a ton of passing volume, only 234 passing yards, and a game with bad weather against the Buffalo Bills. The week prior, I have no excuses for Tua. None at all. He was horrible against the Chargers. No excuses. I don't think anybody can have any excuses for Tua. Very bad game. So we got one bad game for Tua, essentially. The week before that, against the toughest defense in the NFL in the 49ers, 2 passing touchdowns, 295 passing yards. The week before that, 299 passing yards. The week before that, 285, 302, 382. Like, Tua, outside of the Chargers game, hasn't really been bad. The issue with Tua is he's played in primetime games, so everybody thinks he's been horrible because they've been watching him on the TV screen. So I think you play Tua. Don't overthink it. He's going to be just fine, my friend. Now, Thomas says, also would he flex Garrett Wilson or Dobbins? Full PPR format, we're going to go Garrett Wilson, regardless who's at quarterback. I think if you're playing in a non-PPR format, however, I think you could pivot over to J.K. Dobbins in a very good matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, PPR versus non-PPR is going to be a big difference. So there'll probably be a gap of 5-6 receptions between the two players. Now, Max says, a full PPR, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. We have Mixon, Walker, Etienne, McKinnon. Okay, so our 2 running backs here, I think we're going to be going with the combo of definitely Kenneth Walker, even though it's a tough matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. Mixon, Etienne, I have them in the same tier. I'm not too excited about either player. Let's go with Joe Mixon just because he has the higher implied team total this weekend. If we're going to be looking at wide receivers, I think you have to jam in CeeDee Lamb, Chris Godwin. And then if we're looking at the flex, I think we're just going to go right back to the wide receiver position. Play Chris Godwin in the flex. Play Keenan Allen in the flex if Zach Wilson's the starting quarterback for the Jets, which I'm assuming will happen. But if we are surprised and Mike White ends up starting, which I'm assuming is not going to happen, then you're going to pivot over to Garrett Wilson. Okay. Now, Ashton says, Dynasty, Amon-Ra and Najee for the 101. I'd get the 101. It's an interesting trade. If I'm going to go ahead and pull up Keep Trade Cut here, let's see where they're valuing. Obviously, this is not the perfect tool, but it gives us an idea of where these guys are being valued. Amon-Ra St. Brown currently being valued as the wide receiver 6, the 15th pick overall. Okay, let me pivot over and make our selection here. Whereas if we're going to be looking at Najee Harris, Najee's down there as the running back 1560 overall. I think it is a very fair price point. I'm sitting here trying to think. I think it is a very fair price point, and maybe if you're playing in a dynasty league where you have to start 11 or more players, you just go with the depth. You keep the 2 starters of Amon-Ra St. Brown as well as Najee Harris. Whereas if you have to start 9 or fewer players, maybe you go with the bona fide stud, take the 101 there. It's an interesting spot. It definitely is interesting. Okay. So now let's pivot over. So we go John Dotson. I mean, obviously, you have to start 3 wide receivers on underdog. Going to be a little of a tougher spot. Zeke goes 96. Now, Toxic Lore coming out. Happy to see you, my friend says, PBR League, Zay Jones or Amari this week, and start ETN or the wide receiver that you didn't pick. We're definitely going to go ETN over the wide receivers. Made our wide receiver rankings. This video will come out either tomorrow or the next day. We're going to be traveling for the holidays, but sat here long and hard with Amari Cooper versus Zay Jones. We ended up putting Amari Cooper at 16, Zay Jones at 17. We are going to give the slight edge to Amari. I don't want to sit here and act like it's an easy decision. Obviously, Amari Cooper in this entire offense have been disappointing as of late, but I mean, it kind of is what it is. I don't want to sit here and try to continue to say, oh, Deshaun Watson's going to get better. Deshaun Watson needs to knock the rust off and he's going to turn it around. I don't know if that's going to be true at this point, but Amari Cooper's playing at home, getting a ton of target volume. He's been great all season. But Zay Jones has been great over the past 5 weeks. It's not an easy call. I'll definitely say that. I think it is almost up to you, my friend. And real quick, we just hit 100 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like in the stream. If you have not done so yet, it's not too late. Go down there and hit that like button. We have live streamed every single day for like 170 days in a row without taking a single day off. And no one coming out says, for the semifinals, full BBR start 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. We have Diggs, Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, Devonta Smith, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Walker, Pollard, McKinnon. I'm overthinking too much. I think our 2 wide receivers, we're going to go Diggs, Hopkins. Don't overthink it. I understand that Hopkins has horrible quarterback play, not the best matchup either. Going to be a very bad offense, but at the end of the day with DeAndre Hopkins, the man's averaging 11 targets a game. Kind of just have to play him. 2 running backs, we're going to go ahead. We're going to be playing Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones, especially with A.J. Dillon banged up a bit, even if we expect Dillon will play. And then for the flex, I am personally going to go through play Kenneth Walker. I don't love the matchup going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks probably going to be in a position where they have to throw the ball to try to keep up with a very, very good offense, but kind of is what it is. Walker stepped in this past week, played pretty much 75% of the snaps. Had almost every touch out of the backfield. Extremely talented running back. A game that should be high scoring. I guess now our next question coming out from, I believe, Tani says, how much to manage my team next season, please? Oh, okay. That is pretty funny, my friend. I'm doing my best. I think I want to do a recap on how many live streams we've done this season and how many videos we've done. I'm doing everything I can to help, my friend. I definitely am. And Tyler says, non-PPR sit one, Keenan, Garrett Wilson, DK, or Devonta Smith. I think we're probably going to end up benching Devonta Smith. I mean, if we're going to be looking at him, this is a wide receiver that has three things working against him. Jalen Hurts injured. Dallas Goedert coming back in, taking targets. Very tough matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. So three things that aren't great. And Thomas says T-Law and Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson and Bryce Young. Like, you got to take Lawrence over Young at this point. Easily give me Bijan Robinson over Jahmyr Gibbs. Be honest with you, my friend, I feel like I do not have enough information to make a correct decision at this time. If I'm being completely honest with you, I will be more comfortable answering this question once we know exactly how slow Bijan Robinson is and exactly how small Jahmyr Gibbs is. NFL Combine, I don't care about it for quarterbacks. I don't care about it for wide receivers. Running backs, it does matter. So I'm sorry, my friend. It's going to be very difficult for me to answer that question for you right now. Now, Drew coming out says, Tua or Fields? We're going to be going Justin Fields, even in a tough matchup against Buffalo. I mean, the man just has all the rushing upside in the world. Devonta Smith, Rachaad White, Cole Kmet. Devonta Smith or Rachaad White, we're going to go Smith. And then Cole Kmet or David Njoku. We're going to definitely go David Njoku, even if the offense has been disappointing as of late. I mean, right now the Chicago Bears are averaging 137 passing yards per game. And yes, I did not misspeak there. Okay, now let's pivot over. And I think we're in a well-balanced spot. Obviously, we're no longer looking at QB, so we're just running back, receiver, tight end. Joshua Palmer goes. Dude, just take Boyd. Just take a piece in an elite offense. Say, okay, maybe he has a random spike week. Maybe you see injuries to either T. Higgins or Jamar Chase next season. Not super excited about it. Best ball, I think it's going to be fine. And then Kevin coming out says, hey, Mason, just wanted to say thanks for all the help this season. I made the playoffs in 3 of 4 leagues, lost by 0.06 in a win and matchup in the 4th. Keep doing your thing, dude. You're the man. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. And I am so sorry to hear about that. That's brutal. I mean, obviously it sucks to lose by half a point or less than half a point. I mean, less than a tenth of a point any given week. That would be brutal. But for that to happen in the fantasy football playoffs, I can't think of anything worse. I am very sorry. Very sorry, my friend. Okay, but let's move this over. And like I said, we're done at quarterback. We have Hurts and Lamar. Even if it's best ballers, no way in hell we can take another. Okay, so I think I know who I want. Jared Goff goes 122. Okay, Alexander Madison goes. Okay, so Madison was going to be my selection. Now that Alexander Madison's off the board, it's a little more difficult. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take Romeo Doubs. I mean, I don't feel comfortable with it. It is what it is. You have no Allen Lazard under contract next season in Green Bay. Randall Cobb will approximately be 90 years old. The only guys left standing may end up being Romeo Doubs as well as Christian Watson. We'll see. I have no freaking idea. Now, Crab Vision, always happy to have you out, says, have BBR. We have ETN and running back 1. Need an RB2 between Tyler Algier is going up against, a defense we want nothing to do with. Carter, Jeff Wilson, or try to pick up Zach Moss. Okay, so we're saying we don't want to start Tyler Algier against the Baltimore Ravens, but honestly, we kind of have to. I don't think we can start Zach Moss without seeing the split between him and Deion Jackson because that offense is just so damn bad, and we know he's not going to catch the ball out of the backfield. Jeff Wilson banged up. Looks like Reem Mostert's taking over as the starting running back here. I mean, Michael Carter is seeing fewer touches than Bam Knight. Tyler Algier had a great week this past week. I think you have to lower your expectations in a tough matchup, but I think we have to start him. And also, should we play the Jacksonville DST or a Baltimore? Thanks, Mason. No, thank you for supporting the channel, my friend. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to play the Baltimore Ravens DST. I mean, right now they are, I believe, 7.5-point favorites over the Atlanta Falcons. And don't overthink it. Oh, can I play my running back against my DST? That doesn't really matter. Now, Lee says, your help. You helped me go to the ship. 3rd straight year. 2-week matchup. Merry Christmas, bro. No, Merry Christmas, my friend. And 3 straight seasons going to the championship. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much for being a long-time member of the flock, my friend. I mean, 3 seasons is a very long time. For me to think back what we were doing 3 years ago seems like a different lifetime. Isaiah says, Fields and Freiermuth or Deshaun Watson and Kelsey rest of season. I think you go Watson and Kelsey. Freiermuth had 0 receptions this past week. Like the points per game difference you're going to be getting between Travis Kelsey and Pat Freiermuth, it's going to be massive. And Owen says, start a running back and a flex. We have White, Moss, Algier, Foreman, Jeff Wilson Jr. Okay. Running back, we're going to end up going Rachaad White here, assuming that this is a full PPR format. D'Onta Foreman playing in a running back by committee had fewer snaps than Chuba this past week. Tyler Algier in a tough matchup, horrible offense. Jeff Wilson Jr. probably the start. I mean, backup running back to Raheem Mostert at this point. I don't love Rachaad White, but it's a very good matchup going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Receivers are Lazard and Goodwin. Ooh. I know we're not going to be starting a wide receiver for the flex ball. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play Tyler Algier over these guys. I'm not playing Marquise Goodwin. I know it's a good matchup, but as we said, over the past 4 years, he's had 2 games with 6 or more targets. Or 3 or more. 3 games with 6 or more targets over the past 4 years. 32-year-old speedster wide receiver. Not buying into it. Happy holidays. Thanks for your help this year. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. Wishing you the best of luck. And Brian says, chugging along to the finals. Thanks for the help this season, Mason. Start 2. Walker, Evans, or Zay Jones against the Jets. I never thought we would be here, my friend. Evans has a good matchup. I mean, Mike Evans is going up against the Arizona Cardinals. But we have to play Zay Jones over him, don't we? Zay Jones, 51 targets over the past 5 weeks. Lawrence looks like a significantly better quarterback than Brady at this point. Obviously, I never want to speak down on the GOAT, but Lawrence is playing some very, very good football. I think we probably end up having to go ahead and play Zay Jones and Kenneth Walker and bench Mike Evans. I would have never thought we would say that, though, with the healthy Evans. And Richard says, start Dobbins over Olave, Judy, Mike Williams in a full PPR format. I would start Dobbins over Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, I mean, with Judy, obviously, he's getting every single target in the world. But if you get a wide receiver coming back into Denver this week, maybe it's not going to be as good for Judy. And on top of this, horrendous offense. Dobbins in a better offense. Dobbins in a great matchup against Atlanta as well. Okay. So let's pivot this over. Renfrow off the board. I do not like this team too much. What are we doing here? We're going to go. I want to go Wan'Dale Robinson, but in the past, we've just made too many mistakes by overdrafting players coming off torn ACLs. We'll go Rondale Moore going into year 3. I don't know about it. I can't sit here and say this is a great pick. There's no way in hell I can try to sell it that way. But while Wan'Dale Robinson's definitely the player I want to take, how am I supposed to? Every single year, it seems like we overdraft those players coming off torn ACLs. I mean, this past year, that guy was J.K. Dobbins, of course. I mean, I was so excited about getting Dobbins in the 5th, 6th round. Clearly, that did not work out for us, but it is what it is. We'll learn that lesson, and we will make that adjustment going forward, 100%. Okay. So Taysom Hill going off the board 150. So keep in mind, this is also not going to be a tournament draft on Underdog. This is just a private 12-team draft. So we don't have to go as upside heavy, at least for individual weeks. Okay. Just in going back to what we were looking at with Wan'Dale Robinson, because he's the next wide receiver to go. And like I was saying, I wanted to take him. I don't know if this is just recency bias and us feeling like we've been duped into someone like Dobbins coming off the torn ACL this past season. But if you just think of every player coming off a torn ACL this year, Odell, Jameson Williams, J.K. Dobbins. If you think of someone coming off another significant injury, Cam Akers with the torn Achilles. Like, what player coming off a significant injury came out and dominated this season? I don't want to act like they're just completely undraftable, because keep in mind, like, Cooper Kupp had a very, very hot start coming off a torn ACL, I believe back in, was it 2018, 2019 that he tore his ACL? So I don't want to sit here and act like it just completely takes them off the board, but I think we have to be getting a significant discount on them, which I thought we were getting a significant discount on Dobbins in the 5th this year, but I guess we just need to be getting an even better one. Okay. So let's smooth this over. So Brady's still not gone, but we cannot take another quarterback. We have Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. We already overdrafted 2 quarterbacks. So let's go through this. I think we're just going to be probably done at receiver as well, at least for the time being. Tyreek, Mike Williams, Pickens, Dotson, Boyd, Dobbs, Rondale Moore. God, what the hell did we do in this draft? What did we do? How many picks do we have left? 5? Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we get to take another wide receiver here. And John says, made it to the second round, but JT and Jalen Hurts out. Oh my gosh, that is brutal, my friend. I am super sorry. Hopefully we have a good option to pivot to a quarterback. And Bays says, do we trust McCole Hardman this week? Hell no. And also Juwan Johnson or the rookie tight end in Tennessee. Traylon Burks should be back this week, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to play Juwan Johnson. I mean, just a touchdown scoring machine in games that he gets to play fully. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Do we go off the board here and take Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Drafted in 2020, still under his rookie contract. Obviously, very, very disappointing. But, I mean, we're looking at Cordell Patterson being a running back that will be 32 years old. I mean, one of our most drafted players this past season, but that was because you were getting Cordell Patterson like the 10th round. And I like the situation a lot more than with him being another year older. Low Rise coming out again says, in a non-PPR format, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Rosters Chase, Waddle, Williams, Christian Watson, Dalvin, Etienne, Mixon. What are the starts this week? So keep in mind, this is going to be a non-PPR format. Regardless, full PPR, non-PPR, you go Chase, Waddle, wide receiver. Not going to be thinking about that for a second. Dalvin Cook at one of the running back spots. The real question is, who are we playing at running back 2 between Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne? And the real answer is, it doesn't matter, because we're playing both running backs. We're going to play one of the running backs, running back 2, the other guy in the flex. We will be benching Mike Williams and Christian Watson here in favor of those 2 RBs, which is kind of funny because obviously you have had Christian Watson just dominating, and I repeat, dominating. At this point, can we go Cordell Patterson? We'll go Cordell Patterson. Yeah, but Christian Watson's been phenomenal in that non-PPR format when the only thing you're chasing is touchdown upside, but still. I think you would take the running backs over him in Mixon and Etienne with the guaranteed workloads. Even if Mixon's been very disappointing so far this, I want to say this month or just over the past 2 weeks. Still, this backfield has had so many freaking touchdowns in it, scored over the past 6-8 weeks. It's very good offense. Derek coming out says, no questions, just showing my support for the year. Got killed 216 to 98. Oh my gosh. In the playoffs, it was brutal to see. Hopefully we get it next year. You're the best man. No, thank you so much for being a long-time member of the flock, my dude. You know I appreciate you, and I'm super sorry to hear that. What do y'all think is worse? Derek, please let me know in the live chat. Dude, please don't donate to let me know this, but please let me know in the chat. Would you have rather lost by, call it, half a point? We had someone else in the live chat earlier lose by 0.04 points. Would you rather have had that loss or just know right from the jump that you don't stand a chance and lose 216 to 98? Would you rather get blown out or marginal loss, essentially tie, but you're bounced regardless, or where the result is obviously the same? Okay. Green Bay Champ says blowout. Hybrid says I hate those close losses. So interesting. Young Krelo says blowout. Everybody's saying blowout. Ooh. Caesar says Caesar's the only guy who wants a marginal loss. Says marginal loss because it'll be a close all game. Could have turned out either way. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I guess if it is a blowout, you can just completely check out. Like, if it's that marginal loss, whatever you're playing on, if you're playing on ESPN, you're going to be just refreshing it every 15 seconds. Especially throughout Sunday, you're going to be refreshing it every 15 seconds. But that roller coaster is part of the ride. I mean, and Derek says, I'd rather lose by half a point just because I would know I would be in it. That is true as well. It's just interesting because obviously the result's the same. And Bay says, with Hurts out, do we ride with Gardner Minshew or have a safe pick in Sam Darnold? My friend, I would describe Sam Darnold as a lot of things. I truly would. But a safe pick would not be one of those things. I'm not really telling anybody to go ahead and start Gardner Minshew because, hell, with Gardner Minshew, he has a very tough matchup going up against the Dallas Cowboys. I don't necessarily think it's a super easy spot, but still. You can play Gardner Minshew over Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, at the end of the day, is Sam freaking Darnold. Okay. So let's move this over. I think the main mistake that we made with this draft is taking Dallas Goedert where we did. Who could we have had at running back instead? Took Dallas Goedert. I probably would have taken A.J. Dillon. Going Goddard over A.J. Dillon definitely was a mistake. Okay, so now looking at this. Not really going QB, not going wide receiver, just running back, tight ends. I don't even know if we should be drafting 2 or 3 tight ends at this point. Juwan Johnson goes. Honestly, I was really going to be considering him. Go ahead, we'll get Isaiah Likely. We need a second tight end almost regardless. And you know what? We actually get another running back and a tight end. So we're going to get to have 6 RBs and 3 tight ends with this team. Obviously not a great roster construction if you're drafting in a tournament on Underdog, but this is a private draft. And Nab coming out says, should we start Lawrence or hold off for Lamar? We have Jared Goff as well. Let me pull up the most recent report that we have of Lamar Jackson, my friend. I mean, I would say I'd easily rather have Lamar Jackson if he were to play over Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, Lawrence plays on Thursday, however. So Lamar Jackson did not practice. So while many stars are getting days off Tuesday for this week as they prepare for Saturday, Jackson's absence is the 8th straight practice he's missed and cause for concern regarding his availability, blah, blah, blah. Let me look at the updated line on this game. First, we will make our selection here. I have no idea who to take. Not even the slightest clue. We'll go ahead and we'll take Tyler Conklin. But, yeah, let me go ahead and let me pull up the updated line. As of yesterday, this line was at 7 points regarding Lamar. And the Ravens, of course. I mean, the line's not for Lamar Jackson. Line's for the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, so with the news of him not practicing, yeah, the line's still the same at 7.5. If you have Goff as a backup option to pivot to, I would roll the dice with Lawrence I'd roll the dice with Lamar unless we get a report coming out tomorrow that says, oh yeah, Lamar's not at practice. Lamar's definitely not playing. Of course, be willing to make your adjustment, but I feel like the pivot from Lawrence to Goff's not going to be the worst pivot in the world if we're not able to play Lamar Jackson, because you do have a very tough matchup for Trevor Lawrence going up against the Jets. Tommy coming out, always happy to see you. My man says, glad I was able to get in this one. You were right about ETN versus Henry. I overthought it and didn't have time. You caused quite a stir with that field suite earlier. I disagreed, but I didn't think it was ridiculous. First off, thank you, my friend, for coming out and drafting with us. Second off, yeah, I mean, ETN versus Henry, I completely understand why people would be excited about Henry. Henry's been phenomenal, but I think we have to be a little cautious with him being 29. I'm not saying he's a bad pick in the third. I just wanted to go through and talk to the people that were saying that he's a phenomenal pick. And yeah, so if y'all did not see what I said on Twitter, I said that there's a greater than zero, this my exact words. There was a greater than 0% chance that the worst team in the NFC that's averaged 137 passing yards per game, that's going to be picking at number 2 in this year's NFL draft, looks at taking a quarterback. I said there was a greater than 0% chance. I didn't say they should. I don't think they should take a quarterback. But does that matter? No, because you say there's a greater than 0% chance. Everybody and their mom has a Justin Fields tattoo, has, a love affair with Justin Fields. So they see anything negative about the man and they lose their minds, which, I don't really care. My DMs are definitely funny after that, though. Okay. So now we have some more quarterbacks going off. Obviously, we need quarterbacks going. What we really need is a running back making it to us, but who the hell are we going to be able to get at RB? Like we said, we looked at the board earlier, and I don't freaking know. I have no idea. But, yeah, thank you so much, Tommy, for supporting the channel. And thank you for being a long-time member of the flock, my man. You know I appreciate you. And let's move this down. Let's just throw some random dart at running back. Or running backs on this team are ETN, Isaiah Pacheco is a 7th-round rookie, drafted 30th pick in the 2nd round last year. Devin Singletary doesn't have a contract next season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, one of the biggest busts in the 2020 draft. Cordell Patterson, a 32-year-old running back. So, not sitting pretty to say the least. I think I know who we're going to go with. I have a good idea who we're going with. It is always nice, like going down and just scrolling this far with the names to just get like a blast from the past with a lot of names that you have not heard in a very long time. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take D'Ernest Johnson. Oh, no, crap. Hopefully Noah did not hear us on this one. I'm assuming Noah's going running back as well. He has CMC, Hall, A.J. Dillon, and Michael Carter. If I'm Noah, I'm going running back, and I'm probably going D'Ernest Johnson, but hopefully he did not hear us. Dontrell Hilliard. Okay, so we are going to go ahead. We are going to be locking in D'Ernest Johnson. There we go. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging out with us tonight. Of course, I truly do appreciate you. If you want to check out any of these player props, if you want to get in a draft with us, we did over 700 of them last year. We're going to keep on crushing them this season. They're the most fun thing to do in the world. Link in the live chat, link in the description. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match on Underdog Fantasy. Available in damn near every single state. You can get into public drafts, get into drafts with us in the live stream. Do whatever you want to do, but it is a ton of fun. But thank you again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow. May not be tomorrow night. We'll figure it out, but we will be live.